David G. Wilson, and we are exhibiting at the 21 paintings at the Lakeview Public Library in Long Island. Here we have Running to School. This is one sees a dirt road in the countryside of Dominica, my home country, and the student is running to the small schoolhouse, and it creates a portrait of the schoolmaster. Here I am working on Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring. The objective is to transform the image into an alternative reality. Most art lovers would recognize that image as Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring, but I want to show that I can see an alternative reality within the image. So the viewer is inside of a house looking out. There's a little hill, two houses, and a woman walking with a full-length cloak. This is a bowl that was used to collect molasses during slavery in the sugar industry, and later on they were used as cisterns. My grandfather had one of these on his estate. This is a print of a piece that I call Trench Town Tremor, one of my favorite musical heroes, Bob Marley, and in there one sees Peter Tosh, Bonnie Wailer, and Bob Marley. The viewer is backstage looking through the curtain, and you see the three original members of the band performing. On the drum, you see the map of Jamaica, because Bob Marley never spoke standard English, he spoke Jamaican. Once I said Patois, somebody corrected me. He spoke Jamaican. And here one sees, in the shadow of Bonnie and the drum, one sees the image of a lion climbing vertically. In this one, it's a musician. The image that is seen is a musician, a pianist playing. But in actuality, it's a piano, an armchair, and a window. But that window could also be a painting on the wall. It appears to be a window looking out onto the seascape of my hometown, Portsmouth, but in actuality, it's a painting on the wall, framed painting on the wall. Again, we have chattel objects creating human form. And this one represents Nat Turner, a revolutionary, a slave in Virginia. He really started a revolution to free slaves. He was a literate, one of the few literate slaves who was a preacher. And actually his Bible is now at the African American Museum of History and Culture. His descendants of his slave master presented that Bible that belonged to Nat Turner, and is now in the Museum of African American History and Culture. Again, I have this melancholic woman using chattel objects. I use these objects really to refer to the perception of African people as objects by slave masters. Here I have La Joconde Constance. La Joconde Constance is an image of the Mona Lisa using my hometown, using the double mountains of my hometown and the boats in the harbor. I created an image of Mona Lisa, based on Mona Lisa. The boats in the harbor and the view through the door. Again. This one is based on Shakespeare's Hamlet. It's called a Hamlet in Denmark. Hamlet referring to a small village. And here you have the Prince of Denmark. So you see the three houses in a tiny village, and you see the apparition of Hamlet himself. So I call this Hamlet in Denmark. Then we have the lady, this time she's smiling, unlike the other two, who are somewhat morose. This one has a little smile on her face. Again, if you observe closely, the chains around her neck and the chains around her lapel. And it's a reference to slavery. Okay? Here we have Dizzy Gillespie playing the trumpet, and with his puffed up cheeks. I use chattel objects. Again, every time I use chattel objects, they are a reference to slavery, the enslavement of African people. And here we have ubiquity of shadows, where I painted simply a vase with flowers, an apple on a table, and yet you perceive two figures, two faces. Okay? Me and my shadow, ubiquity of shadows. So you see the reflection, the shadows of these objects on the wall and creating two faces.